Hey, Riata. What's your booty? Hey, girly. Ready to go for a ride?
All right, today we're gonna go for a little ride in the mountains and answer some of our most frequently asked questions. About 2 weeks ago, Alyssa did a little community post asking questions and we got a ton of responses. So this is actually gonna be really fun. We've been looking forward to this for a while now. We're gonna take the OGs, Clyde and Riata, out, and we're gonna go for a ride in the foothills and answer some fun questions. So we'll get saddled up and head on out.
All right, so try to get all these questions on my phone here. So number one question we're going to answer is, what brand of saddle do we use? And I use a McCall saddle. They're actually built for horses, but this one fits Clyde all right. And on Riata we have an HR saddle. It's a Hud Roberts, and that one does have a mule tree in it. We actually just made a video about this, so we'll link it. We'll do a little tag up here, and then we'll also link it in the description below. So you guys can check that out if you want to see in depth what gear we use for our mules as far as saddles go. All right, and then the other gear question we got is, what bit do you use when starting a mule under saddle? So the bit we start all of our mules in, we will show you. So the bits we start all of our mules in are just going to be plain old snaffles. This one's a D-ring. I like the ones with the little copper inlays in them, but they're just a regular snaffle, and that's what we start all of our mules in. We really like the buckaroo tradition, and although we haven't made a bridle mule yet, we like to attempt to do that. So here's another one. This is an O-ring snaffle. This is made by Jeremiah Watt. These are really good bits. So same little copper inlays in them, but that's all we use to start our mules. So we like them to be nice and soft and go off of our seat and leg. And yeah, so that's what we ride all of our mules in. I will add, we also like to use Makati reins. So use slobber straps on those. Throat latch is always a little bit tight in the winter. He gets so woolly. That big old donkey head, huh? Yeah. All right, we'll do some questions with Jason here while he's tacking up Riata. You want to answer some, Riata? What is your favorite cookie? Peppermint? Okay.
The one in your pocket.
Yeah, whichever one you give me. All right, next question. Do you guys go to Mule Day celebration in Bishop, California?
Oh gosh, that's a good one. No is the short answer, but we watch it. They have it on YouTube every year, and we absolutely love it. There's like two things we like watching on TV, and that's the NFR and the Bishop Mule Days. So it is definitely on our list of events to go to. I don't know if we'll make it this year. It kind of depends on my work schedule. I have a great work schedule, 7 days on, 7 days off. So if it lands on my days off, we might make a run down there and go to Bishop finally, because we love watching those packer competitions, and they got like dressage mules and everything, and a bunch of good people down there. So we'll make it one day, but we haven't been yet.
It's a long ways from where we live, so.
Long ways, and we like to steer clear of that CA state for the most part, but we'll make an exception for Bishop.
All right, next question.
What you got?
Would like to buy a couple riding mules, but hard to find sellers close-ish to us. They're in Lolo, Montana.
Oh.
Any tips, sellers you would recommend?
The Salese Black Mountain Outfitters, I think they're called. They seem to always have really nice mules. Yeah, it can be a real crapshoot if you're looking on Craigslist and stuff like that. So your best bet, if you don't have experience with mules, obviously I don't know your specific background, but for folks who don't have a background with mules, your best bet would be to save up a little extra money and buy one from someone who has a great reputation. That way you're sure to actually enjoy your mule. There are some really good mule sales as well. They're not real close to Montana like the Sallees are, but I guess Ralston, Wyoming isn't bad. The Jake Clark Mule Days over there by Cody, Wyoming, they have really good mules. You got to kind of have deep pocketbooks for that, but they have great mules that are well trained and vetted by the sale. Also Chrome in the Canyon, but that's clear down in Utah. But those are good places to look. I would say my main advice would be save up a little extra money and buy a mule that is truly well trained from someone with a good reputation. That way your first mule is a fun mule and not a scary mule and unenjoyable experience.
What about Petersons? Did you mention them?
Oh, I didn't mention the Petersons. They're like top of the top. There's like Mahoney Mules have really good ones, and Petersons have really good mules. Petersons are here in Idaho, and yeah, those are good places to start looking. They're kind of known for putting out bomb-proof, really solid mules that you're sure to enjoy. We're gonna be out of questions before I get in the saddle.
No, we'll answer these ones real quick.
What you got?
They say, hi, I love your videos, which thank you very much. We appreciate that. They said, would you recommend a mule to someone who is looking into owning their first equine?
Oh gosh, that's a tough one. A good mule will keep you safe. A tough mule will make you never want another one, probably.
Same goes for horses, though.
Same goes for horses, yeah. Horses, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like they might be a little more forgiving than a mule. Like, they'll just kind of go with the flow a little more than the average mule. Obviously, it varies a lot within mules and within horses. They all have their own personalities, but I started with a horse. That was my first animal. I got her after college, and looking back on that experience, I'm glad she was a horse and not a mule, because I put her through a lot, like didn't know how to bit, like put her bit in her mouth. I put it in and like twisted and stuff. And she was super forgiving. Some mules will be that way, but some mules might be like, no, you're never touch my mouth again. So I don't know. A good mule is a great animal to start with. A good horse is a great animal to start with.
I think just find one that's pretty chill, whether it's a horse or a mule, and don't be afraid to reach out to people if you need help.
That's a really good point, is finding like a mentor close to you or something like that. You can learn a lot on YouTube, but there's no substitute for someone who knows what they're looking at in person. Find someone who can go with you to look at animals and get you set up for success to where you can just have fun with your animal, whether it's a mule or a horse.
Unfortunately, there are a lot of dishonest horse and mule people out there, so you definitely want to try to steer clear of people that are lying to you. A lot of times mules and horses get sold as younger than they are, or they'll sell lame horses that have issues like that. So a pre-purchase exam from a vet is a great idea, and that can save you a lot of money down the road. Another
thing I'll add to that just real quick is buying your first mule or horse is a pretty intimidating process, and there's a lot to think about. And if you're like me at all, you can get kind of paralyzed and indecision. And if you feel drawn to horses and mules and you feel like that's a way of life that you would really enjoy, I would say do your best and just make the leap, and then have grace with yourself. And because you may not get the perfect animal first, but if you just do your best, get yourself set up financially and everything, and then make the leap, it will be a rewarding process, even if that first animal isn't the perfect one. Get started, start learning, find some local mentors, and just go for it, because this way of life, we're not even ranchers or cowboys or anything, but this way of life is just super rewarding. Getting to spend time with these guys, feeding, training, riding, looking for shed antlers. It's really a super enriching process. So don't get paralyzed with fear. Don't get overly intimidated. Just do the best you can, and make the leap if you feel like you're ready.
And another thing I'll add to that is, even if you go spend $15,000, $20,000 plus on an equine, they're not robots no matter how well they've been trained. So they're only going to be as good as you are. If you don't know how to ride that thing, even if it has all the fancy buttons in the world and can do all the sliding stops and spins, if you don't know how to ride, you're not going to be able to get the best out of your horse or mule. So I would definitely make a plan to go to some clinics if you don't know what you're doing, and take your horse or mule along, or just go audit them even. Find a mentor, like we said earlier. That's going to help you be a better horse person or mule person for your equine. So just something to note, that you could buy the most expensive equine and end up having problems with it if you don't know how to ride it. All right, one more along those lines, so we'll just answer it real quick while we're tacking up. Clyde's trying to eat my camera. They said, what are some tips for looking to purchase their first mule? So but then they said, do you have any tips for training a green mule? What do you think, Bob? All right, well, yeah, I think the main thing is just be patient. You know, a lot of times they don't know what you're trying to get them to do, especially at first. And don't be afraid to seek help. That's the biggest one. If you have never trained a young horse or a mule before, there's a lot of things that go into that to get it done, so it's set up for everyone to be successful. Don't expect too much from them. Keep the sessions positive and short, and definitely don't be afraid to reach out and go to some clinics, or, you know, just get help from a mentor. I think that's the main thing. So there's some super good mule trainers out there. Ty Evans is one of our favorites. He has a podcast called Everyday Mulemanship, and he also has an online library, video library you can learn from. He does a big master class that you can sign up for, and he'll kind of walk you through working with your mule. And then he does clinics all over the place, so you should check his stuff out. It's tsmules.com. We'll add a link below for him too. But if you're looking to get into mules, or maybe you have gotten into mules and you're having problems with one, that is a great resource to go to. He's super understanding. He's a really good teacher. We really like Ty. It's fun. We've never ridden up this way before, so.
New country.
Looks like a lot of people walk their dogs up here. Bob's a little spooky today.
It did. In the parking lot too. I thought the same thing. Yep. Yeah, they go right over the fence, so it's not cows or horses. All right, let's see it, Bob. Get that energy out, buddy. See ya, suckers! We are winning! We are winning! Rod is running out of gas. Oh no! The afterburners! Rod is actually only 1/4 horse. She's 3/4 donk. We don't stand a chance against Clyde. Also, I'm a little bit bigger than Alyssa. And Rihanna's a little bit smaller than old Bob. Atta girl. Atta girl. Rabbit. Well, that's a perfect transition into one of our most commonly asked questions, and that is, when would you want a horse over a mule?
They said, when would you want a horse over a mule, and vice versa. So, when would I want a mule? It would be if I'm riding through some real technical stuff, rocky terrain, maybe somewhere where there's not a whole lot of water. or if I'm in a situation where I need to pack out a lot of weight. Mules seem like they can pack more. Their backs are flatter for like pound of body weight per pound that they have on their back. When would I want a horse? If you're doing anything really athletic as far as speed or like cow working ability, say like barrel racing, most ranching stuff as far as like rodeo roping, maybe you're trying to like cut cows, any kind of stuff like that. Definitely horses have a little more natural ability than mules do, but the main thing is speed.
So yeah, along those same lines, Alyssa and I, we like to watch like horse movies and horse videos on YouTube and stuff like that. And you watch some of those cutting horses, and they are just absolutely amazing athletes. They're so enjoyable to watch, so impressive. And whenever I see that, I think those guys, if they ever came across our channel and saw, I made one short, I went pretty hard, and I was like, mules are better than horses. Here's why. But really, I was just talking about trail riding, and they're better for us than horses. But man, those guys get amazing things done with those quarter horses. It's just so impressive. Same thing with thoroughbreds on the racetrack, just powerful athletes. So we love horses too. And we got a draft cross, and they're great on the trail too. So she's a up and comer. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. We just picked her up. She's only, what is she, 9 months old now?
Yeah, just turned 9 months.
Just turned 9 months old. So we got a little baby draft cross, and she's gonna be our mountain mare. So we love horses too. They're better for mules for working cows and stuff. But as far as just trailing in the mountains, tough to beat a good long ear. What was the other part of that question? I just thought that would be kind of a funny transition.
Try to answer questions when there's not a ton of wind. It's pretty windy today, and these little cameras sure pick up the wind. So the other part of that question was, what's smoother to ride, a horse or a mule? I think mules have a really nice smooth walk. They almost have a little bit of a gait to them, and it's pretty popular to breed gaited mules. But overall, I think it really just depends on the individual equine and how their build is. Like Riata is kind of short and compact, like a little cutting horse, and she has a very much like a little fast pony trot that's pretty bouncy to ride. Where Clyde is built long and tall, and he's pretty smooth. So it just kind of depends on the individual. I've ridden some horses that are extremely rough, and I've ridden some horses that are nice and smooth, and same with mules. So I don't think it's necessarily a mule or a horse thing, just an individual thing. Sure, a lot of deer and elk tracks out here. It's pretty neat to see. Climb up this big ridge here.
All right, we got a ton of super good questions, but there was one question that really stood out above all the rest as far as being the best question of all of them. And I'm gonna read this one because I have a feeling Alyssa will probably skip it. And I don't wanna mess it up. It was such a good question. I don't wanna mess it up, so I'm gonna read it word for word here. So it goes, how come you look so good looking with a stash? It says, I mean, come on, man. It's just downright beautiful. Well, it's God-given, man. It's just some people are overly blessed. I've been blessed with a good mustache. Alyssa, will you put in a clip where my mustache looks really good last summer? And when you put that in, go ahead and like darken it up, make it look a little thicker for me if you could. That'd be great. So yeah, that was probably the best question of the whole thing. I've been called by many the Sam Elliott of the mule world, also the Tom Selleck of the mule world. I think it's starting to stick. I'll probably start an Instagram page just about, riding around with a good looking mustache. No, I'm kidding. That was a funny question, and I wish I could say it was from a lady, but it was from, let me read who it was from. It was from a gentleman named Thomas. So thanks for the compliment, Thomas. And Stash will be back in the springtime. It's winter here in Idaho. It's pretty cold. So rocking the beard for the next couple months, but it'll be back.
Next question. They said, I'm new to your channel, so you may have already talked about this, but how did you get started in mules? Have you both always ridden? Or did you get started as an adult? And then we got another one, that at what age did you start riding horses and mules? So those two kind of go along the same thing. So I don't know which one of us wants to start.
You could start.
I'll sum it up pretty quick, but I've been riding since I was about 9 years old. I actually started riding English. My parents signed me up for an English riding class for like a summer camp, and then switched over to Western and haven't really ever gone back. And I got my first horse when I was 9, and that was it. I was horse crazy and hooked since then. I just rode horses most of my life. We weren't around packers or really even like a ton of trail riding or anything. It was mostly like arena. We'd go on some trails, but nothing like up in the mountains. I grew up in a pretty flat valley, so there wasn't really mountains around to ride in. And it wasn't until I was in my 20s, I was training horses out of Central Oregon and got introduced to mules there. Some lady brought me a problem mule to start, and I took her in because I needed the money and ended up getting along really well with that mule. And so she brought me another one to colt start after that. It got me thinking about mules, but Clyde was actually the first mule I've ever owned. So, yeah, we really didn't get our own mules until like 4 years ago now. So, yep. And man, they've been great. We absolutely love them, and we train them about the same as we do our horses. The style of horsemanship we like works really well with mules, so it's been great.
Well, it's getting a little windy on us. I'm tucked in here by this rock, so hopefully it's not terrible right now, but we were planning on just riding and answering questions, but the wind's just whipping and the audio was probably pretty rough, so we're going to figure out a plan B. So this will be to be continued. We'll hop back into questions here in just a little bit.
Ride down this old wash.
All right, we found a spot kind of out of the wind here, at least for the moment. So, when did I get into horses? I was raised in the family where we played sports and went hunting in the fall. And I wasn't raised around horses by any means. But I got into horses right after grad school. So I would have been about 25 years old. And my first horse was an appendix quarter horse. She was a ex-barrel racing horse. Big old 16-hand sorrel thing. And she was pretty awesome. She was great for me. She was very forgiving and a good horse for me to learn on. I moved to South Dakota with her. Her name was Jude. I moved to South Dakota with her, and I got just really passionate about improving my horsemanship and, getting her soft and, just working well with her. And I was fortunate I was able to work on a ranch out there, so I got to ride a lot, and that's when I discovered buck Brannaman and started really just diving into horsemanship. So I didn't start till I was 25, and it kind of shows. I still have a lot to learn and stuff, but I'm enjoying the process, and thankfully Alyssa is super passionate about it and also very gifted, so she helps me quite a bit. Thankfully Riata is very forgiving as well, and it's awesome. It's going to be a lifelong process, but I started late. I'm a little bit behind, but just enjoying getting a little better all the time. So hopefully I can go to a Ty Evans clinic this year and just keep progressing with my mule Riata.
He's like, would you quit that? that.
It's honestly a little bit discouraging to have started riding so late in life because I just feel like I'm so far behind so many people. But man, it has been a really rewarding process trying to get better with my horse and now with my mule and stuff like that. And it's something that it's like, man, I mean, I'm still in my 30s, late 30s now, but in my 30s, hopefully, Lord willing, I got 40 good years to keep riding. So I make a lot of improvement in 40 years. So yeah, if you're interested in horses and you're a little older and you feel like you're a little behind, it's like it can be a humbling process to just like admit that you don't know anything and you want to learn, but it's a really rewarding process as well.
It is windy and cold. My face is numb. It's pretty fun though. I wish it was a little nicer day.
Yeah.
Well, we made it back. I didn't go quite as planned. It was pretty darn cold and windy. My fingers are numb. My face is numb. All right, let's see what we got next. They say, which one of your future goals are you most excited about achieving? And what are your main goals you hope to achieve in the near future? And then we also, kind of along the same lines, they said, well, it's a new year coming up, ways to save money, what brings you joy, and goals for the future. So both of those are kind of the same. We got a lot of goals for the future. One is to reach 100,000 subscribers. We think that would be awesome. We had set out a goal to pay our mortgage with what we earn on YouTube, and we're actually able to achieve that for a few months in a row now, so that's been pretty cool. We would like to eventually have YouTube be our main source of money, so we could have more free time. That would be awesome. But I think probably our main goal for this year, or it might not happen this year, but kind of the next one coming up, is just trying to get a little bigger property. That's kind of the one we've really been thinking about lately. So we bought our house. We were planning to fix it up and then resell it, and there might be an opportunity to do that this summer. We've been in that house for over 2 years now, and there's a property we have in mind right now, but if that thing ends up being for sale still this summer, we might try to make a couple moves and get that place. So we'll see, but that's kind of one of our main goals this year, at least in my eyes. What about you? Rihanna's only goals are to have her ears scratched.
She's all sweaty.
What do you think?
Main goals, you kind of touched on them. The 100K subscribers is a big one. And then we've been talking a lot, Alyssa and I. She just like watched that Mustang auction, and she's always had a passion for Mustangs, and we love having our mules, and we'd like to make training equines a bigger part of our life. But on our 2.5 acres that we have right now, there's just not enough space, or certainly not enough feed for any more equines. So that's kind of jumped to the top of our goal list, is getting a little bit bigger property, preferably with water rights, and that way we can kind of control our own hay. So yeah, that's probably the biggest one. Bigger property, that way Alyssa can spend more time training mules and Mustangs, and hopefully some draft crosses, and she wants a mini donkey for in the house, and things spiral out of control when you start setting long-term goals. But yeah, probably a bigger property with more feed would be the number one goal. So what's really exciting, and we want to say thank you, what's really exciting is our YouTube is just actually opening up the possibility to even dream about having a bigger property. So thank you guys for watching. It actually has helped us a ton, and it's given us even more ability to dream for the future and plan for getting a little ranch for ourselves one day. So thank you guys. It really means a lot to us that you guys choose to watch our channel. Ways to save money, like horse related?
I don't know. She just said ways to save money. I think the number one way to save money is budget, and just be intentional and know what you're spending already. And that gives you a pretty good blueprint to how you can adjust that spending to save more money.
Pay attention and spend with intention. Don't be afraid to spend money on things that really truly enrich your life. but don't get in the habit of just wasting money just because your friends do or something like that. Spend your money how you want to, and put that money to use for your future as well as your present.
Spend money on horse treats, right, Riata?
Yeah. I don't know if that's a good use of money or not.
Riata thinks it
Riata thinks so. And Clyde, and Josie, and Cedar, and Mesa. They all think treats are a good way to spend money. I don't think I have anything to add. I think that's just the best way to save money.
Yeah.
Pay attention.
Don't buy horses.
Yeah. Don't buy horses too early in your financial journey. They cost a lot. They require a lot of time, attention, and just money. So, like Alyssa and I did, make sure you have a good financial foundation before you jump in.
Definitely.
Then, once you do, don't be afraid to jump in. They cost a lot, but they really enrich your life as well.
Otherwise, they just cause a lot of stress, and you don't get to enjoy them very much. At least that's our experience.
It's true. We have a whole video on how we paid off $90,000 in debt. So Alyssa can link that into the description and stuff. But it was a huge sacrifice for us for several years, but so worth it now that we're out the other side and enjoying this lifestyle.
So yeah, that's a good segue into our next question. There's actually 3 questions I'm going to read, and they're all kind of similar. This person says, I have a question. You have mentioned Alyssa does taxidermy. Can you explain if she is self-employed? I am self-employed. I have my own business. Looking for customers? I am not looking for customers. Website, pics of her work, etc. And what do you do for a living that allows you to both have so much free time to ride mules and hunt? I enjoy your content. I also have mules and hunt. Last part, that's awesome. You're our type of people. Another question along the same lines. What sort of jobs do you guys work to give you financial freedom in time for your outdoor lifestyle? And then we have, I've watched many of your videos, but not all of them. So you may have talked about this one I missed. What type of work do you do for a living while you're growing your channel? So those are all kind of the same. So we'll answer those ones. So I am a taxidermist. I do have my own business. I have worked for other taxidermy shops for a long time. And Jason has had different jobs over the last couple of years. He worked for the Forest Service. Now he's actually working for a mine. And so he's getting paid pretty good there at the mine, which is nice. So that's a new job for him and one that he'll stick with for a while. And I started my own business 2 years ago with taxidermy. And this last year it really picked up. But we have had this dream of doing YouTube for a while, for years and years. And the main reason we have so much free time right now is because, like we just mentioned, we ended up paying off all of our consumer debt. So all we owe is our mortgage. And we spent a lot of years just literally working 7 days a week, as much hours as we could, paying off all that debt. We didn't have any equines. We didn't have our own place. We had, we made a lot of sacrifices. So that has allowed us a lot more freedom. And then we bought a fixer-upper house, a really cheap house, and put a ton of sweat equity into it and just cash flowed all those repairs. And we were able to sell that at a really good time and buy a little house where we're at now. And we're hoping to do the same thing with that house and roll that into a little bit bigger property. But YouTube has really been picking up thanks to all you guys. We really appreciate you guys watching. And it is about equal now with what I'm making with my taxidermy. And so this coming year, I think I'm going to step away from taxidermy probably altogether, which is pretty crazy to think about, and just focus on YouTube. So we're going to be putting out more videos and hopefully better content and bring you guys along. So that has been our dream. It would be awesome if we could just do YouTube full time. We can't yet, but that's what we're working towards.
So Alyssa pretty much nailed that answer. The only thing that I would add is when we did sell that fixer-upper, we chose intentionally to set aside some money to invest in our YouTube channel. And that included a little bit of a financial runway, some extra savings there, and buying all the equipment that we bought, like cameras and microphones and things like that. So that is part of why we're able to spend this much time out riding and filming and camping and hunting and working with horses and mules and stuff like that. So that was an intentional choice. Instead of putting that into retirement, we invested that into this little equine YouTube business that we have. So And we're thankful we did also. That's something that I would encourage someone else to do. It's been great for us. It's been a massive learning process, but it is paying off, and it's kind of crazy to see, look back 2 years ago where we were and the goals that we set, and to be on track or ahead of track with those goals is pretty amazing, and it's really just a huge blessing. So that's a big reason that we have this time, is because we specifically set aside money to give ourselves the time to try and grow this YouTube channel.
Yeah, and I will say it looks like we have a lot of free time, but we don't show all the hard work that goes on behind the scenes. So there is definitely a lot of hours spent working, a lot of odd hours. Sometimes we work really long days in order to have the free time that we have. So.
And my job at the mine is 7 12-hour days, and it's an hour drive each way on top of that. So it's like during those 7 days, certainly not going to film that because that would be boring as heck to watch and no fun at all. But it is one of those things we can work really hard in one area of our life, and then we can just enjoy ourselves and film and try to build this mountain built business in the other 7 days of our life.
All right, let's see. I'll start on Tacking Clyde, but here's a short one. It says, do y'all have cows? We don't have cows. In high school, I raised bucking stock cows, like bucking bulls for rodeos, and that was kind of fun. I worked for a cattle ranch for 10 years, and they just raised Angus cattle, not even registered, just did a lot of grass-fed stuff. But no, we don't have any of our own cows. We'd like to get maybe a couple. It'd be fun to have some to work around with the mules when we get a bigger property. But as far as like raising cows and doing that whole thing again, I'm not sure I have a desire to really get into the whole cattle thing again. So, I mean, it was fun while I was doing it, and I like parts of it. There's other parts that I don't like so much, like getting chased up a tree by an angry mama cow and things like that. So, no, don't have cows.
So I have just a teeny bit of cow experience in the past. On that Black Hills Wild Horse Sanctuary, we had a couple hundred head of cows, and 100 of them were heifers. And they used the cattle income to help pay to, adopt and keep more wild horses or Mustangs or whatever. So anyways, that was actually kind of a nightmare of an experience, because a lot of those 100 heifers ended up having a hard time calving. We calved in late January like a lot of folks do, and it was very cold there in South Dakota that year, and we had to check them multiple times a night, and we lost some. So it was a tough experience. So that was kind of a downer, but there's nothing like when the springtime sun comes out and there's green grass and little calves running around the pasture and stuff like that. So it is rewarding, but they take a lot of time and energy and effort and stuff like that, and we'd rather put that energy and effort into horses and mules versus cows at this point in our life, at least.
The real reason I don't like cows, no, I'm just kidding. One of the worst injuries I ever got was from a cow. I was working cows in a squeeze chute system, and our free swinging gate didn't have the little latch that is safety, so it can come back over the top of you. And I had this mean old mama cow, and I was pushing her up with the gate. She ended up kicking that gate and kicked it straight into my face, knocked me flying backwards. It broke my face here, and it was pretty gnarly. I thought she knocked out all my teeth. Thankfully she did, and I just have a tiny little scar now from that. But my whole eye, like, it ruptured some blood vessels in my eye, so my whole eye was red other than my pupil. It was real creepy looking. I think I freaked out some poor little kids at the store and stuff, but that took forever to go away. Gave me a concussion. It was a bad deal. So I got stepped on by a bucking bull pretty bad, and still have a pretty gnarly scar from that. So yeah, I've been hurt by horses, but I think I've been hurt worse by cows. This person asks, tell us about your property, story about how you got it, how much value it was, how many acres, what your plan is for it, etc. We kind of answered some of that. So we just have 2.5 acres right now with actually a little manufactured home. And we sold our other fixer-upper at a really good time when prices were high, which is nice. However, prices were high, so when we bought this place, it was pretty high as well. Thankfully, prices have increased in this area. I think some of the new job opportunities have helped that. And so yeah, I think we should be able to make a pretty decent profit on this house, hopefully. We have a few more projects we like to fix up before we sell it, and then we're hoping that we can make enough off the sale of this house to roll into a down payment on our next property and get a bigger property. So we only have 2.5 acres. They are irrigated, but it's not enough pasture for how many equines we have. And yeah, it's a nice little place for now. It got us up here, which is nice, but we definitely would like something bigger.
And the only thing I'd really add to that is, while Alyssa and I are constantly setting new goals and thinking about the future and planning for the future, we also are we're very intentional about being thankful for what we do have. It wasn't very long ago we were living in the town of Shelley, Idaho, in a little 2-bedroom apartment. We had no horses. We had basically no hope of getting horses or property in the future. And now, just about 5 short years later, we have horses and a property of our own, and irrigation and chickens, and it's just like, it's crazy how much we've been blessed. And we definitely don't lose sight of that, even though we're constantly planning and setting new goals and trying to keep moving forward. So we're thankful for our double wide and our 2 acres. And if we ended up getting stuck there for the rest of our lives, we would be super thankful for it. But hopefully we'll end up with a little bigger ranch in the future.
Good boy. Watch your bum. Ariana's silly. She just stares at me like, do you mind? All right, got another one. It says, a week or so ago, you did a poll about video content. Have you made any decisions regarding the results? I enjoy all of your videos. What makes your videos stand out is really good camera control, even when moving. We'll see if that's good right now. It's probably not, you're blurred out.
I was thinking, I don't think the camera's aimed at me right now.
It was, but you're blurry. So yeah, we'll keep working on that. Also, clean content. Lastly, between the mules, seeing both of you have fun and the gorgeous outdoors, I always laugh and smile, guaranteed. I'm curious about trips you would like to take camping and exploring. Thanks for asking. Happy New Year. God bless you.
Wow.
So first of all, thank you.
Yes, thank you. And God bless you too. We really appreciate, we've actually like kind of built relationships with some of our people who follow our channel, and it's actually really fun. It's like, there's so many nice people out there and so many people who take the time to leave nice comments. It really means a lot to us. It's pretty fun to see, and it's actually really encouraging also.
We built some like actual in-person relationships too with some people. Like we had a couple people reach out that ended up being neighbors of ours, and have become really good friends with them and have spent time with them in person quite a few times. So it's been really fun, and we probably would have never met them had we not started YouTube. Yep,
it's true. So as far as what we decided for...
Well, first off, the poll was, I just asked everyone what they wanted to see. It was like mule riding adventures, horse training and care was another option, hunting content, and then homesteading content. So those are the 4 options.
And what won? People like the mule stuff the best.
The mule adventures came out on top, and then the hunting stuff was second. And then we had horse training and care was down there a little bit, and homesteading came in last.
So basically what we decided, thanks to you guys and Alyssa getting to go full-time on YouTube, we're leaning towards going back to having 2 channels. We used to keep our hunting and our equine related stuff separate just because of the way YouTube runs things. You can get kind of like shadow banned, demonetized, stuff like that with certain hunting content. And we always try and keep it tasteful, and we've never had a problem with it, but we were fearful of that at first. So we had siloed hunting content and then homestead and horse mule related content. And we ended up combining those because it was just too much with both of us working full time to try to consistently post on YouTube when our lives are very seasonal. We go from hunting for a couple months to then we're really focused working with the mules for a few months. Then in the summer we're fixing up our property, and so we live very seasonal lives, and we weren't able to stay consistent with those 2 channels divided, so we combined them. But now that Alyssa is going to be going full-time YouTube producer, editor, videographer, talent, star, all that stuff, now that she's going full-time on YouTube, we're actually leaning towards separating out the content again, trying to put out 2 equine and homestead related videos a week, as well as 1 hunting, outdoor shed hunting, pew pew type videos.
Yeah.
Putting out 1 of those videos every week as well. So keep an eye out. We'll probably be splitting channels, and that is just so that YouTube knows exactly who to deliver each video to. The way the algorithm works, YouTube basically learns about the viewer, and they feed the viewer videos that are appropriate for them and that they would enjoy. And we understand that some people like hunting and horses, and other people only like hunting, and other people only like equine stuff. So in order to continue to grow and also to try and put out videos that our viewers really enjoy and that are applicable to their life, we're going to split up channels. And but thanks to Alyssa going full-time, we'll still be able to post consistently.
Yeah, we'll see how it works, but I think it'll work good. And like Jason was saying, that way all of our equine people can just watch the equine stuff. All of our hunting people can just watch the hunting stuff, because some of those guys don't care about horse training and vice versa. And if you like both, you can just subscribe to both channels, and both channels should be really good for you.
Yep.
And you'll see the mules on both. And we'll probably mention hunting, if we're up camping with the mules or whatever. But we'll try to keep it mostly equine related on the equine channel and hunting related on the hunting channel.
Yeah.
So, and also as far as clean content goes, yeah, that's something that won't change. So you can always watch it with your family, and you don't have to worry about that kind of thing.
Yep, that is something that we have made a priority. There's you can grow on YouTube extremely quickly if you don't keep it clean, which it hasn't honestly even been tempting to us, but it's something that we're like, wow, we could be blowing up a lot faster. And that keeping clean content is just never something that we're willing to compromise, even if it meant faster growth. That's something that's important to us, and we love when we have people reach out and say that they enjoy watching as a family and things like that. That means more to us than any subscriber count. So we appreciate you guys, and we're going to keep it clean. And that's what you can expect and count on.
Trying to hold it with my foot.
Nice. Thank you. Teamwork.
Don't whack me in the knee with your stirrup.
Yeah, those big metal stirrups
hurt. Clunk. Oh my goodness. You just got so sweaty. You can't hardly stand it. Yeah, no, don't be rude about it. Oh. Your trailer is nice when the door slams so you can hear all the rust fall down.
Yeah. If anyone out there owns a trailer store,
yeah,
we're looking for a sponsor.
Fix this door. We need a new one.
No, we don't want to fix it. We want a new trailer.
Oh yeah, we want a whole new trailer. Will someone sponsor us, please?
There you go.
Also, how do you fix this? Also, Chevy, if you see this video, we need a new truck. That'd be great. I'm gonna make Jason answer this one so he can pass me the camera. This person says, I want to know your love story. I always find it cool hearing how people meet. So what's your story? How did you meet? When did you know you were in love, etc.? And we had another one of our good friends here ask us kind of a similar thing. His first part of this. The first one is, how did you all meet? So we'll answer that part of his question, and then we'll finish his question too. Let's hear your version of it.
How did we meet? Well, we met on Instagram. I was living in Ellensburg, Washington, and working at a jail. It was a good job, but definitely didn't enjoy it a lot. Alyssa was in Montrose, Colorado. We were both raised in Oregon, and I was scrolling Instagram one night, and I don't even know how I saw your picture or whatever, but no. I saw a picture of her. I was like, whoa, she's pretty. And then I looked at her bio and saw she's from Oregon, and I was like, oh wow, that's interesting. She's from Oregon too. So I don't know if I ever commented or anything, or if I just as they say, slid in the DMs, and I was like, "Hey, what part of Oregon you from?" I'm from Oregon too, and I didn't really expect her to even write back, to be honest, but she did. And
well, one thing I will say is you actually wrote me a message. You weren't just like, "Hey, girl, what's up?" And the other thing is, you gave me your phone number. You didn't ask for mine.
Yeah,
so that was a good move. It did not seem creepy.
I do remember that. I was like, "Hey, if you ever want to talk or whatever, here's my phone number." And it actually escalated quickly, as they say. We ended up talking on the phone quite a bit when I was in Washington. She was in Colorado, and I remember we talked about Buck Brannaman and Pat Pirelli and horsemanship.
Dave Ramsey and all kinds of stuff.
And we just had so much in common. Our Christianity, our faith we had in common, and horses and hunting, shooting bows and enjoying the mountains, wanting to live in the mountains. It was all in common, and it was just like, holy smokes, like this girl is perfect. Like she's just the ideal woman. So
how we first met in person was Jason. I was going back to Oregon to hunt elk with my bow. And Jason's like, "Well, hey, my family hunts elk in Oregon too. So you want to come to hunting camp with us?" And they had mutual friends that I knew. And I was like, "Well, they're good people. So I don't think these people are like going to murder me out here or whatever."
We both knew we weren't getting catfished because we had that mutual family friend that was like, "Oh no, Alyssa's a good person. Oh yeah, Jason's a good person."
Yeah.
You know, and so it was like we knew it wasn't anything weird, even though we talked on the phone quite a bit and we both really knew. It was nice to have that mutual friend in common. And I still remember, fast forward to when she showed up to hunting camp, it was like pretty late at night. It was dark. My family was all in our canvas wall tent and enjoying dinner and hanging out. And sure enough, Alyssa came rolling up in the dark and driving an old rink-a-dink Nissan Frontier, came sputtering into camp and got out in the dark. And I remember my dad still talks about the first time he saw Alyssa. My dad maybe he has like a low bar for me, but he said when he first saw Alyssa, he couldn't believe how pretty she was. He was like, "Holy smokes, she is tall and blonde and beautiful." And it totally just like caught him off guard. I was like, "Thanks a lot, Dad. You're acting too surprised." But no, he's right. It was memorable when we met her for the first time. It was pretty cool. My mom was there, my brother was there, my dad, and we ended up on that trip. I think we ended up getting 3 bull elk, and 4? I got a muley. 4 bull elk and a muley on that trip.
2 muleys. Your dad got a little forked horn.
Yep. And so anyway, we were off and running from that day forward. So
I do remember we hadn't really talked because you're bow hunting, so you got to be quiet. And finally we were hunting with the whole family. So at one point we finally had like a moment alone. We're sitting on this rock waiting for his dad and cousin to come over the hill. And Jason goes, "So how's this going?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm having fun, I love hunting." And he's like, "No, like, how is this going?" And I was like, "Well, you seem nice." Like we hadn't even talked like at all since we'd been there together. So
it was an interesting first date. We were hunting hard
for 12 days. Yeah, I stayed 12 days with them in their camp and with the whole family. I had my little tent pitched outside their big wall tent, and it was pretty fun.
Yep, it was. It was pretty cool. So that was in September of 2018, and fast forward to March of 2019, and we were at the courthouse in Idaho getting married. I had moved to Colorado to be with Alyssa, and she was doing taxidermy down there, and I didn't really like working in the jail, so it was easy for me to be like, "All right, I'll head your direction." So I moved to Colorado, and then we ended up moving to Idaho, and we got married in March of 2019, and the rest is history. Well, it's our wedding day. We're heading to the gym, getting in a quick workout. We got 6 hours and 15 minutes of freedom left. Getting jacked.
And we're going to go lift weights.
Together.
I still don't know where to look on this thing. And it's snowing.
Snow on the wedding day. That's good luck for sure.
It's got to be good luck. So much snow.
It's been awesome. Honestly, in all seriousness, I joke around, and it's kind of an uncomfortable question, to be honest. But in all seriousness, like, the biggest decision that you'll probably make in your life is your spouse. And it was a huge blessing to find Alyssa. when we first met, I was dead set on just being single. I liked hunting. I liked just being in the mountains. I'm not a super social person, so I didn't go to bars and stuff like that. And I was in my early 30s, so not that old, but kind of, getting to where it was like, well, maybe I'll just be single the rest of my life. And then met Alyssa, and it's been honestly the biggest blessing I could have ever dreamed of. Alyssa enjoys all the same things as me, so I still get to spend my time in the mountains and exploring and stuff, and now I just get to do it with my best friend instead of by myself. So
now we just get to be antisocial together.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. We love people and we want people to be happy, but we like doing stuff just the two of us a lot of the time too. So huge blessing, and that's kind of our story in a nutshell, and we feel like we're just getting started. We've been married now, it'll be 6 years in March, and we've been incredibly blessed so far, and we're super excited to see what's ahead for us.
Yeah. Lots more equines.
Mini donkey in the house, that's what's ahead.
Mini donkey.
This took a turn for the worst.
Sleeping on the same bed as Squirrel and Yeti, our dogs, which actually that's a great segue. So the other part of this question is, how did y'all get Yeti and Squirrel, which are our dogs? Would you be willing to share the breeder you got Squirrel at? Did either of you rodeo? All right, let's break it down. How did y'all get Yeti and Squirrel? So Yeti is a German Wirehair pointer of ours, and we wanted a dog. I had a little corgi from before we met, and we wanted another dog. And so I was like, maybe a lab. It'd be kind of fun to teach him how to find shed antlers and stuff. And Jason's like, I don't know, I kind of like those like bearded pointers. And so we looked into those, and it was like a week later, we were driving down the road and there's a sign. It says German Wirehair puppies for sale. And we're like, well, there you go. Let's call those people.
It was a sign, literally.
We called them, and they had left that sign up from their last litter, but they were having another litter in like a couple months. And so we got first pick, and we picked little Yeti dog. So that's how we got Yeti. And then Squirrel, unfortunately, my corgi passed away, and for a little while I was like, I don't know if I want another dog. I was really devastated after she died, and Yeti seemed lonely though. And so I was like, well, I'm not going to get another corgi. They're really cool, but mine, even when she was like 7 years old, she started slowing down, and we like to ride up in the mountains and stuff. So I kind of wanted a smaller dog, and I was like, I need something that's athletic and can go on rides with us. And so anyway, I had read a bunch about mini Australian Shepherds, and I was like, they seem neat, and they should be athletic enough to go with the mules. And so we ended up getting Squirrel, and he was from a lady called Meg's Mini Aussies. She breeds them, and he is the most timid dog I've ever owned in my life. He's very sweet, but he hates riding in the truck. He's really scared of the mules. He's doing better now, but man, he was just scared of everything as a puppy. He was a challenge to like get out and get, out in public, and he just didn't like new people or anything. So he's still that way to a degree, but he's gotten better. He's the sweetest little dog though. I do love him, but yeah. My first experience owning a mini Aussie, and he's definitely a timid little thing.
So, all right, let's talk rodeo experience. Me, it's easy. None. All right, now let's turn it to you.
So when I was about, 15, 16, I'd actually just had a real bad horse wreck, and my arm was all casted up. And I decided that I thought it would be fun I wanted to rodeo and do something. And I drove by this place. It's between my dad's house and my mom's house. And it was a big rodeo arena. And so I swung in there one time to see what they were up to. And it was a bull riding practice pen. And so I was like, oh, that'd be kind of fun to do. And so the instructor there was like, well, here, come sit on this bull in this chute. And he was hoping he'd scare me. This bull had big old hooks for horns, and I just thought it was awesome. I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. So I had to get a form signed from my dad, and the instructor out there was like, well, I'd definitely get that cast taken off first. So I had to wait for my cast to come off. I had to get my dad to sign the paperwork, which was pretty hard to convince him, but finally I did. And I made sure to wear a helmet and everything. But anyway, I started riding bulls out there, and my bull riding instructor, one of his favorite things to tell me was, what do you call a guy who's had his nose ripped off and it's, he's got a nose for an ear, basically? He goes, tough. He goes, what do you call a woman with her nose for an ear? He goes, ugly. So that was kind of his philosophy as far as girls riding bulls. He was supportive, but he was also like, you better be careful because you get hurt, you're going to mess your face up. So I did wear a helmet. I wore a vest. but I did get stomped on pretty good, and that was pretty gnarly. And so yeah, after a while, I never like entered the youth rodeo. I just rode in their little competitions there at the practice pen and would just go there and practice. So I rode bulls for a couple years, and then decided, well, for me, riding bulls professionally wasn't really an option. So I ended up raising bucking bulls, and so I did that for quite a few years and raised some bucking stock, and started getting out of that. I ended up renting a place that worked for those. It used to be an old bison ranch, so it worked good for my bucking stock, but ended up wanting to move away from that place, and so I sold off most of my cows and just worked for the Angus ranch. And so I had horses, and I was like, well, I can barrel race. That's something I can do. So I got really into barrel racing for a while and rode just like, it's amateur rodeo, so it's still a rodeo association, but it's not like the PRCA. So anyway, so rode some little amateur circuits and competed in that, and we never really did super great. I never had enough to spend money on a really good horse, so I always had to buy a horse that maybe had been someone had been too hard on or whatever, had some problems, and I would have to fix them and then try to run that horse is kind of the way I did it. So a lot of times I was just training a horse more so than competing, but it was still a lot of fun, and I had a lot of fun training those horses. So yeah, that was the end of my rodeo career, and I kind of just got tired of that scene and being around some of the other barrel racers who didn't really care about their horsemanship and stuff. It was kind of wore on me after a while, so I got out of that and got more into just mountain riding and riding for fun. So that's where we're at now. All right, we got 2 more questions here. This person asks, when you go on long overnight hunting trips or go out of town, what do you do with your mules and dogs? Do you have a neighborhood kid come over and take care of them, or do you have a close friend to take care of them? This one's been tricky for us because we live a long ways from our family, so our family can't help us out on this one. Although Jason's mom did come over and stay when we went on the sheep hunting trip because that was so long. So that was really nice having her here. But in the past, we've had to just ask neighbors, and we've had some good experiences and some bad experiences with that. And thankfully, we just found a gal here in our little town that actually does that for a living. So she'll come house sit, or she'll at least come over and check on the mules and feed them every day for us. And so we just pay her to do it now. And so that's worked out great. So we are really thankful for her.
All right, we got one last question to go, but we wanted to show everyone Mesa real quick. It's been a little while since she's been here on the channel. We've been working with her almost every day. Alyssa works with her when I'm working those like 14-hour days, and then I've been spending time with her when I'm home on the weekend. And she is a fun little filly. She's got a little spunk to her, but she's also really sweet. She's curious and brave. Everyone's a little amped up right now because of the wind and taking the 2 mules away, but man, she's fun. We're sure thankful to have her.
Can we fit through here? Here, don't cut yourself. Wait. You're on first. All right, now Clyde. There we go. We're getting it. Oh, that's a tight spot. Here, let's see. Okay, Clyde first. Go on. There we go. Come on, Riata. Whoa. Look out, Cedar. Come on, Cedar.
You're gonna show everyone how you train them to get their halters off?
Yeah, we'll start with Riata. You gotta do tricks. Tricks for treats, kind of. Where are you going? Clyde, don't be a pest to her. There you go, Riata. All right, Clyde, your turn. Your turn. Good boy. Hold on, it's hard with gloves on. He's gonna instantly go roll. Go roll. All right, go roll. Ah, yeah, there it is. Oh, hi, Jojo. Look at this fancy mule right here. She just offered to come up here on her own. Just so happens, can you get up with both, all feet? All four? All four. Come on. Come on. All four. Come on. You're getting there. One more. There. Nice job.
All right, while she's doing the trick, give us our last question of the day.
I'll paraphrase our last question. Actually, we have two more. I forgot one more question. So the one, it sounds like they bought a farm that used to be irrigated alfalfa. They're over in Montana, and they don't have irrigation anymore. So they were curious what grass we use for rotational grazing. We didn't have water at our old place, and we contacted a company called Great Basin Seed Company, and they have some great seed options if you don't have water. They're pretty heavy on crested wheatgrass, and that seems to do pretty good in real arid climate. So anyway, they can help you out. I would definitely contact Great Basin Seed Company. Oh my gosh, Josie. All right, you girls. All right, and then the very last question. We got two that were pretty similar, and it was basically how old are our equines and how tall are they? So we can go around and kind of do a quick introduction of each one.
Start with Cedar.
So Cedar is 5 years old. We just got a measuring stick in the mail. All right, Joes, you need not be so grumpy with everyone. She's 5 years old. She's probably about 14.1, 14.2. We will find an actual measurement for her here soon once our little measuring stick comes in. But yeah, and her mom was a half draft. Her dad, of course, was a mammoth donkey. So that's what Cedar is. Josie is maybe 14 hands now, 13.3, 14 hands, somewhere in there. She's 2 years old. Her mom was an Appaloosa mare, and her dad was a mammoth jack donkey. You are a pest, though. Yeah, you just like back out of my space for a second. Thank you. Clyde, his mom was actually a cutting bred quarter horse, and his dad is a mammoth jack donkey, and he is about probably 15.2, I'd guess now. He's grown a lot since we got him. He was only like 14.3 when we got him as almost a 4-year-old. So mules mature a little slower than horses do. So he grew a lot just in his 4-year-old year, and he's 7 now. So he's grown quite a bit since we got him. And then Riata, she is also out of a quarter horse mare and a mammoth jack donkey, and she's about 14.3. So, and she is 8 years old now. So we got a 5-year-old, 8-year-old, 7-year-old, and a 2-year-old. And then we'll tell you about little Mesa girl here. She's our newest member. Hey, baby. Hi. And then we've got Mesa. She's 9 months old. Her mom was 3/4 quarter horse and 1/4 percheron, and her dad was a full percheron. So she is going to be a big girl, but for right now, I don't really know how tall she is. Not super tall. She's shorter than Josie, so we'll see here when we get our measuring stick, huh? But she is just a baby, and yeah, she's gonna be a big, big girl though. But she's been pretty fun. And she is itchy. See about the belly. Sometimes her belly is just so itchy. Oh yeah. No, you can't. I don't need scratch back, thanks. She can't get those belly itches on her own, so it gets itchy. You're funny. Everyone's spunky today. There must be something in the air. Cold front moving in. Good girl. Well, thank you all who wrote in, and hopefully we got to all of them. We had quite a few, so we tried to answer as many as we could, but this was pretty fun. We might do this again later on down the road, and if you have other questions, leave them in the comments below, and we'll try to answer the ones we can. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more horse and mule adventures with all these crazy critters that we got. So, you're a goofball. Silly girl.